Hi, this is Sean Powers. I'm in my home actually, outside of Arcata, California, and I'm here today interviewing Tony Harris from, I don't know where he's exactly where he's from, but I'm going to ask him 6 questions. And the first one starts with, well, they all start with W, and kind of there's a H in there also. So my first question to Tony is, who are you?
Tony Harris,
Tony Harris, and where are you from?
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. That's a long way. That's in the Midwest. I mean, can you describe your growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, just briefly?
Well, I had a hard life coming up as a kid. I started off in the ghetto. Then the hippie movement started. I joined the train.
You joined the train to get out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Yes, to get into peace and love, brotherhood, sisterhood.
And what year was that?
That was 1968.
1968. And was it something that triggered you? Like, did you meet a hippie person, or did you see something on television, or what got you motivated to go that route?
I cared for people when I was a kid, and I always wanted to see people get along together, peace, love, and unity. So as a kid, I grew up with that in my mind, and I was searching for something spiritually to join that expressed that. So I discovered music after leaving Missouri and went to St. New York, 1969.
And did you? I mean, if you were in St. Louis, Missouri, there must not have been a lot of hippies floating around at that time, or were there?
There were, but I wasn't a hippie then. I was looking at hippies, already hippies, and said, "Wow, that must be a cool way of living." I dig the way these people look.
The lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. Then it rubbed off on me. They playing guitars, sitting on the grass in the park, big bag of medicine herb,
Hmm.
all having a great time.
And did you just go up to them, or did you kind
Yeah,
of
they said,
observe?
"Come, peace and love, brother. Come join us. Take a hit." And I
Right.
was like, "Wow, these people are groovy, man."
You hadn't seen that before.
No, no, it's the first time. First time I seen hippies was when I went to Utah, Salt Lake City. I was in Job Corps in the early '60s, and I said, "Man, they hanging in the park playing guitars and everything. Wow, that must be a great life."
But you never saw anybody playing guitars in St. Louis, Missouri.
I seen it when I used to go out to the park. We had a hill just like San Francisco, hippie hill,
Yeah.
and they would all be in a circle on a stone arch playing music.
But what about seeing like older men that in like playing blues music. You never saw that or anything like that, or harmonicas, or
Yes, I saw that. I saw that when I used to go to blues clubs,
mm-hmm.
jazz clubs, rock and roll. I used to go to different lot of styles.
and
Soul. Yep.
and tell me, can you tell me like what was your first experience with hearing music
My first experience was wild. I love that sound. It's beautiful. It makes me feel good inside.
when you're a little kid?
Yes.
And did you have musical instruments when you were a little kid?
I had a toy drum, a toy horn, stuff like that.
So your parents were trying to inspire you to be what you were going to be in the future.
They were, but the inspiring wasn't enough. They really weren't artists. I had to seek it out myself. I leaving Missouri, going to New York
Right.
at 19 years old.
At 19. And did you know anybody in New York at the time?
My grandfather and grandmother lived there, so I got a start in Harlem, New York.
And so you lived with them.
Yes, my start. Then I discovered a village, which was like Haight-Ashbury area.
The Greenwich Village.
Yes, it was a wonderful area to live in. I lived in that area right around the corner from Jimi Hendrix Studio, Electric Ladyland.
Mm-hmm. That must have been a pretty powerful time because races were intermingling, which wasn't supported in the, I don't want to be biased, but there was a lot of subcultures that were going on that wasn't happening at all. You know, it was discouraged. But yet the hippie movement created this environment where people of all colors and ethnic backgrounds and social bearings all were relating to each other and on some level of understanding and like trying to get along, you know, like probably people were thinking like, well, why not? Why can't we get along? Did you ever have any conflicts within your own culture about intermingling with the white people or a hippie movement or?
The black people in the ghetto, they didn't like it. When I became a hippie, we didn't have anything in common anymore, and I had more foresight. And spiritually, I tried to save people and told them that wasn't the right way to live, confused that way. And I couldn't save people, so I had to leave and never come back to that scene of the people like that I knew.
Disengage.
Yes.
My next question is, I started with who. What turned you on to playing musical instruments?
First of all, God turned me on to express His peace, love, and joy out through the world, making people happy.
That's what it does. I myself, being a musician, I've seen that magic happen because a lot of people think that they're not musical, but we all have music in us, and dancing is music, and singing is music, but a lot of people don't sing or dance, but they'll listen, and they cannot deny that you're there when you're playing your music.
And that's too bad, they're missing out.
Well, they're participating by standing there and being there, and you're a street musician, so sometimes people show their appreciation by giving you money because you have a donation bucket out there, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's really helpful. That's like, for some people, that's paying off all those days when they were told they weren't able to play music or whatever, and they're like enjoying the music, and they're willing to pay you. And another what is, what do you think music does to people?
It heals people in all kinds of ways. I have played on the street a lot, and people thank me for making them feel good. Couples quit arguing, coming down the street. Bring unity towards people, you know, and that's wonderful, you know. It bring them to their senses. and heals people. I've seen it heal a lot of people through my past years I've been playing.
Right, which is how many years?
Over 50.
Over 50.
Self-taught, mostly.
And so the next question, it starts with a W, which is where. So we start off with who, what, and where. Now, where have you been with this music?
I travel all through the states, almost every college town. I've been to Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Jamaica, Canada. I used to do a lot of hitchhiking, gypsy, so I would always have instruments with me.
It helps. It helps to pay off your ride with some music and some good conversation.
A way of meeting people, communication. Every new place I went to, I drum with me. It sends signals out to people.
Yeah.
I would ask, where people hang out, what park? And I would meet people through that way, wherever I went. Because I found out in life, if you go somewhere and you don't have anything special that people can see you doing out there on the street, you're like a ghost walking on the street. But if you're doing something spiritually, you meet people faster that way. Communication through music.
Right, and so you find out where to go. Do you ever show up in places where you think that you're not gonna be accepted?
I have, but it turns out people like me. Because my music is not in one category. Everybody can relate to it. It's not like, it's that. I don't like that. Everybody can relate to it. Peace, love, and joy, happiness. Other influences, but mainly what God gives me. And it's not labeled as other great music as we know. It's just peace, love, joy, and happiness.
And where has been the oddest place that you played music at?
Johnson City, Tennessee. It was a redneck town, and I was in that town quick, and I got out of it quick.
Were you playing music like on the street, like you would be doing?
No. I was passing through, and I was playing an Irish penny whistle. And the redneck started looking at me. Where you from, boy? But anyway, mind over matter. I kept on going.
Yeah, keep on moving. Yeah. And where do you hope to go with your music?
I hope to play in Hawaii. I hope to play in various places in Europe. I like to go all the beautiful places in the world I can play. But that takes a lot of money. So I hope and pray for a miracle, a big chunk of money someday come my way.
And another where question is, where has music saved your butt?
Music has kept me together. Music kept me mentally from getting so depressed I can't get out of it. Music, it's just good medicine for my mind, body, soul, and spirit. And it's my daily medicine. It just keeps me so together.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Music is the key to life, as Stevie Wonder says.
Right.
And music is found all over the world, and music is the soothing of the savage beast, as they might say also. And everybody has music that they identify with, and you cannot deny it. There's very few people that I've met that said, "Oh, I don't like music." And then you look at them like thinking like, wow, you really don't like music? No, I don't like music. But then music can be walking around on the streets, like John Cage introduced to everybody, was music is the sound of the motors and the buzzing bees and the step, your footsteps, and the sound of water and the crashing of trash cans and the buzzing of airplanes overhead and the everything. Music is everything. It's all around us all the time. So you cannot deny that music, and your heartbeat is the main beat of everything. So another W question is, when do you think music is appropriate and when is it not appropriate?
Uh, when you in a if you're around people and those are the right people that want to hear it, or if you're around people that don't want to hear it, you know not to do it.
Yeah,
I've been in situations like that. I'm ready to play and they're ready not to hear. I'm like, oh, these people don't know what they're missing out on. Wow.
yeah. I had an experience of going to a Jewish funeral, and the Jewish rich uh, belief is that you don't play music at the person's funeral, and I thought that was really different. And some musicians showed up that didn't know that, and there was a piano there and a flute, and they started playing, and everyone kind of like looked at them really funny, like
Wow,
this
man.
is really not appropriate. And we thought music is always appropriate anywhere, but if you're trying to be silent and solemn, I don't know. I think there's music for that too. It's really hard to say. But we thought we were doing a good thing, and to them, it was the wrong thing to do. And so that's why I asked that question, was because music just flows out of your fingertips and out of your mouth and out of your head, and you can't stop it. Rhythm is just pure and natural. And there's sometimes when you got to stifle that and shut it down. Have you personally ever had that situation when you thought this is not good to play music right now?
I felt similarity, something like that, where I quit playing for a while, for about a year, quite some year, over 20 years ago, or a year and a half, and I had to come back with what's what I call catch up and go beyond. But I had to keep my motivation going strong to be able to keep it going. And I'm glad the times that I gave it up, randomly in life, for a short time, that I came back right away.
It must have been different.
Yes.
Sometimes a situation happens where music is not appropriate, and probably in those periods of time in your life that music was not appropriate. And the thing about musical instruments is that they're created by humans for humans, and they only work if a human plays them. And sometimes there's instruments that sit on someone's shelves for a long time and they never get played. And you pick it up and it's covered with dust, and you pick it up and you hold it in your hands and it hasn't felt the warmth of a hand in years. And part of the instrument is that it's made by a human and that it's endowed with spirit. When your hands touch it, your hands have warmth in it and energy, magnetic energy. And these instruments are made of wood and metal, and different alloys are from the earth. And so we're all from the earth. We're all made from space dust, like the Joni Mitchell song, we are gold, we are dust, we are dust from passing through the universe. Another when question that I might want to ask you, which I'm going to, is when do you ever see yourself stop playing?
When I get too old and I can't play no more. And Lord knows I don't want to be like that. So I'm gonna stretch it out as long as I can, and hope in the next world that I'm playing.
Yeah, like I'm sure, I'm imagining there's some pretty awesome instruments that are floating around that you haven't touched yet.
Oh yeah, I'm always curious what else is out there.
Right. And there's so many instruments in the world. I collect instruments, and I'm very much interested in instruments that are made by small cultures that don't get out. Some instruments never leave the village, and they stay there until someone comes along and the instrument has become so outdated or misappropriated or set aside that they sell it for money, because at that point the money is way more important than that old instrument that's sitting in the corner of that house that's been sitting there for 40 years.
Right.
Maybe the person that played it died and they don't know how to play it anymore. When that time comes and you're like unable to move your fingers and move your body, what instrument do you think you would want to have around you?
A harmonica, probably with a holder.
Right. And
if I can move my head.
Right. And then your last breath could be like.
Yeah, I would have to create a style.
Yeah.
Where a lot of sound is coming out, making up for all the other limbs I can't move. But I got to be able to groove.
Yeah. And this is a question that doesn't have a W in it, but what other musicians have you played with? Like, who have you played with in your days?
Different styles?
Yeah, different styles, like from the
I
beginning
played
to
country musicians. I played with bluegrass musicians. I played with rock and roll musicians. I played with heavy metal musicians. I played with classical musicians. I played with reggae musicians. I played with salsa musicians. I played with a lot of different styles of people. Jam with, you know, from all around from different parts of the world. Almost all parts of the world. Quite an experience, but we wasn't in bands together. We just crossed each other, for a while, traveling somewhere else, and they happened to have this instrument from their country or whatever. It's a wonderful thing to be able to experience different cultures of music. I like Asian music, Middle Eastern music. Oh man, the list just go on. But if it's not spiritual and positiveness, I don't have anything to do with it. As we know today, a lot of junk is coming out, and they're getting credit for it. I don't see how. But we got a lot of timeless music that never goes out of date or style, or whatever. When you first put it on, whoa, it makes you feel good. Wisdom never die or get out of date.
And my last W question, and these all started with W and H, is why do you play music?
I play music because God gave it to me as a gift to be a missionary, gypsy, hippie prophet. I visualize that on a spiritual trip, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm one of God's prophets in a way. I don't brag on that, but He chose me to do this type of thing. And since I've been blessed, and I love doing it, I'm going to do it to the day I die. Can't play anymore in this world.
Right.
I love doing it. With all my heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit.
Pure joy.
Yes.
And since this is going to be going on YouTube, and this is a whole series of films I'm doing about older artists, I call it in their golden years. And some of them laughed about that, like, oh yeah, right. My golden years. Like, it's not too golden for me because I'm having a hard time. I'm starting to lose my memory. I'm starting unable to walk and this and that. But these people have influenced a lot of people without them even knowing it. And one of those ways of influencing people is through the internet. And people are going to see this, and they're going to, maybe years from now, they're going to see this. Long after you're gone, they're going to see this and watch it. And so I wonder, the question of having to do with why should somebody else continue on in this path? Why is music so important to maintain as pure? Because the music is becoming electronic and compressed and not local and not acoustic and not right in your face. My question is, why should anybody continue on with this tradition of live street music?
Because there's always people out there that will thank you for it, help their spirit, make them a better person, strengthen them. And so it needs to be out, it needs to continue out in the street. The whole world is a stage. And us musicians on the street, we playing a part. And that's a very special part. Everybody's playing a part though, but we healing people. So it have to continue. Because if we didn't have it, it'd be dead out there. There'd be no light, no spiritual light. We need that light out there to study, bring people into the light.
Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets.
Yeah.
And it's not, no one's paying for it unless they want to.
Right.
You're there
right.
for
Even
them.
a thank you is a donation. I appreciate it. I don't have any money. Whatever. Just a smile can be a donation. Donations come in many different ways. And I tell people, they say, oh, I don't have that much money. I say donation never get too big, never get too small. So that covers everything. You know, don't be shy. That's what I made up years ago. I tell people that. So if you don't have anything, that's fine. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You know? It makes me feel good too when I see other people enjoying it. You know, I'm like, wow, yeah, they love me. Because the more positive feedback us musicians get, hey man, it brings us out to do more too. You know?
Give and give back.
Give more. Yeah. Give back, right.
And my last W question is, with a WH, is whatever you want to say right now.
I want to say I love you all in the world. I'm giving everybody a big hug out there at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Peace and love. Joy. That's the only way we're going to make it. Love, respect one another. Brotherhood, sisterhood. That's the way God intended on it to be. Peace.